All right. So when I was a kid, I remember we used to go in the backyard at night. Me and my dad, my uncles, my next door neighbor friends and whatever. And they would have this film projector, and we liked it because we could put it on the whole back of the garage, and it's like watching the big giant screen. And I remember we would watch everybody. Now, this fight, Jess Willard and Jack Dempsey, this is one of the fights we watched. And we had watched this fight. They had a place around the corner from my house called Mr. Subs. And, we sold submarine sandwiches, pizza, and all that kind of shit, Italian hot dogs and everything. So when you go in there, in the dining area, they had all these pictures up. Marciano, Jack Dempsey, Jess Willard. They had everybody up, man. Rocky Graziano, all these people. Let me explain something to you guys. You could not tell them shit. And I never really had much to say. We used to go around there and sit down and eat. I'm talking like 9, 10 years old, 11 years old. And we used to go in there and they would just always be talking to us. So, one day, I can't remember this guy's name. I can't remember his name. But he used to look after one of my schoolmates that lived next door. He used to look after them while their mother and father, his mother and father were there because he had a sister, were at work. So this particular day, he had mitts, and he had me hitting the mitts. And the guy at Mr. Subs, he's like, "Man, you're really good. Like, wow, your hands are so fast. Wow." Right? And the guy's like, "He hit her too." I can't remember this guy's name for squat. But so anyway, but yeah. So now mind you, this is the VCR days. And we had a, VCR and all that stuff, but it was just fun watching stuff on the film projector. But anyway, so we're out there. And they was, "Oh, hey, let me show you something, right? I didn't know he was into boxing." So he's showing me Jack Dempsey, showing us Marciano, Rocky Graziano, all these different people, and he had pictures, Willie Pep, had a bunch of people up there. He's breaking down everything about them and what they could do and this and that. Now, okay, they're Italian. Everybody on their wall is Italian. But the thing was, we sitting there and he invited us, hey, why don't you guys come in, right? So what they did, they had a little square TV where they had it up, like in a corner, like up on the shelf. So people sitting there, so they were coming in and put VCR tapes in. That was what they were doing. Man, we sitting there, man, in this very fight that you're looking at, they put Jess Willard versus Jack Dempsey. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, and I'm doing this for a reason. I want to explain something to you guys. Just bringing awareness, because people see things they don't really think. Everybody should be aware. Every era of time have people from that era defending that era. It's not about an era of time for me. It's not about showing favoritism to an era of time. There's always something I liked or didn't like as long as I've been on this earth, okay? But I remember we were sitting there watching them fight. The very first time, I was a kid. And I remember me and my uncles are sitting there and I'm like, these are pros. Like, they look like the kids that be fighting on the playground. To these people talking to us about how great they were, they're real men's type men. These guys were unbeatable. The only guys that could beat them was each other. So I'm going to tell you, the only two people that they gave any real credit to was Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali. But they always compared, and they was, see, the thing about Ali is if Marciano hits him one time, he's going to knock him out. And all of this stuff, right? And I said, I'm a kid. See, I was always a trooper, man. I said, I'm pretty sure people said the same thing about Rocky Graziano. I mean, he got one win over Ray Robinson, but they fought like what 5 times or something. I'm like, so well, you know, and I'm watching him. I said, look, now I'm a kid. My uncle standing right next to me. I said, man, I'm watching. I said, look, y'all talking to us like we don't know what we see. I said, man, I see 2 guys with no head movement. I'm like 10 years old, 10 or 11 years old. I said, no head movement, no footwork. They're not even smart. I don't understand how getting beat up and being too stupid to move out of the way of a punch makes you a good fighter. I mean, if you want to say they tough because they stand there taking pounders, I said, okay, fine. I said, but man, you don't even have to be great to beat these two. Well, I don't see what's so special about them. Well, you see, you're young, and then my uncle said, man, I ain't got nothing to do with it. He said, honest with you, man, I never thought nothing much of these guys right here either. It's like, I mean, you telling me that this is impressive to you? Okay, it's not impressive to us. Now, the thing was, I don't care about people being my damn elder. If I don't see something in a person that you do, you're not going to tell me that I'm supposed to. When I know that what I'm seeing, my opinion is different from yours. Leading with your chin, pulling punches from behind your head, turning your head around. I mean, and I'm sitting here like, wow. Now, as I got a little older, you know what I understood? I understood that to them, that's all they saw. They were set in their ways. So whatever happened in their era was the greatest, the best, right? We see a lot of this right now. People who never even seen Michael Jordan play basketball will tell you who's better than Michael Jordan. Oh, the game has evolved. And I'm like, now, if I saw somebody who I thought was better than Michael Jordan, I would say it. Now, you can go way back in the beginning of basketball, before they had crossovers and really had handle, when they used to spin in complete circles. And by the time, Jordan took the game to different heights, man, different levels. I always liked the Spurs, but I got no reason to believe that the Spurs would have beat them, because even when the Spurs had Tim Duncan and David Robinson, the Bulls still beat them, and we kept getting knocked out. So the Spurs won the championship the second season because Jordan retired that year. But the year before that, this is what I'm saying, they beat the Spurs. Okay, and at the end of the day, like when people talk about, yeah, man, we had Max, what's his name? Vernon Maxwell. Yeah, man, we had that big African. We had a king, man. So what? You had a king. The Spurs had David Robinson and Tim Duncan, and they couldn't do it. The hell? Like, so it's easy to say, oh, yeah, we would have beat them that year. Okay, right. It's always the story. Now, the thing is, and anybody who's been watching me, you guys know, I'm not stuck in any time zone. I'm not, no. I do have a strong opinion or belief and feeling that certain thing I see, I'm like, nah, I feel things based on the individual, what you're doing, not because of what era you come from. Okay. If you were alive when these two fought, you're dead now. You're not still here. But my whole thing with is I realized that like people are just biased to their era. They're biased to certain type of fighters. You think because a fight ends and you look like your face been through a meat grinder, that's what fighters do. No, that's a stupid way of fighting. Funny thing is, I remember a man named Muhammad Ali. I watched the video called Skills, Brains, and Guts. And, Muhammad Ali was I love that video. I used to watch that video over and over and over. And I remember one time Muhammad Ali was talking, and he was saying, man, these guys slow, no skill, too stupid. And I said, wow, my uncle looked at me and started laughing. He said, you ain't even know how he said that before, did you? I said, no. He said, yeah. And he looked and said, man, how you so damn smart and so young? And my uncles would tell you that same thing. We used to bet, like predict fights. man, they would be dead fucking wrong. And and they were like, how you be, so when I would, you know, like when you're a kid, you hit your uncle's hands and all, you be thinking like they'd be doing it to make you think you hit hard. They was like, nah, no, you really punch hard, man. Like, so it was one of these things where I'm taking this shit serious, but not like to learn it and to know how to fight and all, but like I'm not becoming arrogant, big-headed or whatever. I'm confident in a motherfucker. But one of the things I learned, like once I started learning how to skip rope, hit the speed bag, like once I started learning how to do all those things, that was all fun and everything. But man, like when I understood why we did all these things, like this is one of the things that I remember fighting the guy. It's like, I used to watch Sugar Ray Leonard do that shoe shine shit and throw them real fast punches. And I'm like, it looks flashy and look good. But I would see Ray Leonard do that. And I'm like, a lot of them punches not landing. But his opponent's not fighting back. They just be standing there. And I got something for y'all. He was standing there with his hands up, just not doing nothing. But what I did, okay, is something that most of y'all don't do. Even like other fighters don't do. Because of this fanboy shit. I never took credit from what Ray or anybody else did. These were my dudes. Like, I'm like, I ain't want to see Ray lose to nobody. He's one of them. But I also looked at their flaws. I looked at things that they were doing where the crowd is going crazy. Like, I'm watching this shit and I'm like, now it's one thing. You're doing this and you're landing punches. Now, let's say your punches are landing, but you're not really hurting the guy, but they're landing, right? Okay. There was times I'm watching this happen and the punches aren't landing. Not just Ray, a whole lot of people. But the crowd favorites always get the crowd screaming and jumping because your hands are moving. And then they'll sit there and do something and taunt like but they didn't land shit. Now, my thing is, I saw a completely different skill level, even with Ray Robinson and Rocky Graziano and all those other guys. Ray Leonard, different people. I heard say Ray Leonard's the smartest fighter I've ever seen, right? But the majority, no. If your last name wasn't Marciano or Graziano or Willard, or Dempsey, Now, the thing was, too, when they would talk about who was who and who did what, you see the size difference between Jess Willard and Dempsey. This is the thing I'm saying. Even like Jack Johnson got dropped by a guy 155 pounds. This dude wasn't no heavyweight. But he was considered a heavyweight. And he even told the story how I forget the dude's name. He wore these big ass heels to try to, make him look taller. But I remember he dropped Jack Johnson with a punch. And Jack Johnson got up. Jack Johnson literally ran and jumped in the air and swung a punch. Like literally. And so my whole thing, what I'm saying is, everything that has a beginning, something like that, it develops through time. So fighters become better, more skilled. And then there's a such thing as where it peaks and it's like, okay, fighters are really not getting better anymore at this point. Like people look at the UFC, but you got to understand, the UFC is not nearly as old as boxing. Okay, boxing is the oldest form of combat sports in the world. But when I would watch these fights, what I'm saying to y'all, it's like, so like when you hear me say, like what Shakur Stevenson say, he don't see Ray Robinson the way other people do, right? Neither do I. Not that I think Ray was a bad motherfucker, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of fighters I don't see the way everybody else see. Now, for me to feel that, what would give me the right to say, oh, Shakur tripping? Now I'm going to do a whole video saying Shakur stupid, Shakur. No. I don't see a whole lot of people the same way. But people will pick and say, this guy was this guy was that. Okay, if that's what you see. But when you point out the holes in their games, right? It's like, for example, yesterday, 5:29 in the afternoon, I did a video about Usyk versus Dubois. I was asking questions, and sometimes people might ask me something, I might not see the question, and then I go and see what they doing on YouTube, and then but so then I might respond, and then it's like, okay, but it might be hours later. So I didn't even remember that the fight was happening. Pacquiao, and I didn't remember that shit was happening yesterday. So what happened is when I looked at the two of them, right? I always told you guys, and you guys know if you go back and look at my videos, I said I don't know if Dubois is really a better fighter now. I said the guy that he beat, see, you guys put them on pedestals like this guy's really good. This guy, I don't see them like that. And the thing is, like I was saying, is like you go by your last fight and look, he did what he had to do against AJ, but AJ fought bad. People in this generation are so fucking sensitive that they always think you're trying to take credit from somebody else. No, it's not it. If you're too immature to understand where I'm coming from, then, smarten up, pay attention. The hate has nothing to do with nothing, okay? My whole thing, and I always liked Dubois as a fighter, but he became pretty arrogant and obnoxious, and it was just like, man, this dude need to be, because the thing is this, I felt like he has more ego and attitude than ability. I'm not impressed with all that just come forward throwing bombs, trying to knock a person out. Because when a person can weather the storm, this is when we start to see what you're made of. Usyk is not, Dubois is not the type of guy that can absorb information and implement a smart tactical boxing plan. Everything with him is trying to knock you out. He's impatient, look, herky, jerky, jittery shit. He can't wait to land a punch. That's what he does. He starts that little rocket motion. He starts opening his hands. And I just said, plain and simple, the only way I see him beating Usyk is if he can land something and get him out of here. Maybe hurt him to the body again and then catch him in the head before he go down or whatever. Because, whatever. But bottom line, outboxing Usyk, no. Now, my thing is, Usyk knows he can be hurt by Dubois. I don't think Usyk is dumb enough to go in there and let the same thing happen the same way. But I noticed when he hit Usyk with that body shot, Usyk started tearing his ass up after that. Like, nah, I'm not going to let him get his confidence up and try to land that shit again. I'm going to make him pay now. And if you catch Usyk with a good shot, that's what he does. He starts fighting harder. So what ends up happening is when I don't even want to say a prediction. Just more me giving my insight on how I think the fight is going to go. I don't see none of them as being as good as Usyk. In this generation, these heavyweights that's out there. And I feel like that's the only way that he could beat them. Now, my thing is, with Dubois, you would expect him to come out a little quicker. Try to, overwhelm Usyk. I'm going to push him to see what happens. And, get Usyk, see if I can get him to go backwards. Because nobody's been able, aside from Derek Chisora, they've not been successful at making Usyk go backwards. I told y'all before the first fight, one of the biggest mistakes that Dubois is making is thinking that Usyk can't hurt him. And I said, man, that's what get people, they start breaking their confidence, because here y'all keep calling him a middleweight and I'm going to do what AJ couldn't do and all right. And then all of a sudden, like I said, people crying about the body shot. Yeah, it was a body shot. Okay, whatever. But when Usyk got up, understand how this works. Usyk is the one that got hit, not Dubois. So when people talk about, oh, he got cheated and he had to, okay, whatever, I agree. That he got folded by a body shot, not a low blow. But guess what? He's the one that got hit. And when he got hit, the same amount of rest time he had, so did Dubois. So when he got up, Dubois didn't close the show. Usyk did. The other thing about Dubois, he doesn't have a good gas tank. So my whole thing with Dubois is like, if he is in a position to just he's able to just find a way to knock these guys out early, okay. But if you watch him, he doesn't fight. Like, when you fight a person that's busy and you have to fight more than you want, and then you start exerting energy and you start to get tired, none of those guys are good enough, slick enough, really solid all around, like really good boxers to expose your weaknesses. AJ didn't expose his weaknesses. But like I told you, AJ hit that motherfucker with a shot and he stuck back and he hurt him. But AJ came in carelessly. So my thing is, okay, if he gets you, like when you get a term, take him into deep waters. So if he can hurt you and do some damage to you early, now down the stretch, if you survive it, or if you don't allow him to land those shots, does he fall apart? Does his gas start to run low? We know Usyk doesn't. You understand what I'm saying? So when I look at his options, like, okay, so we know, and if you didn't know, you now know, Usyk can outbox him, and Usyk can also knock him out. Dubois can only knock Usyk out, and he has to catch him right, because he can't outbox him. So it's either KO or nothing for him, or TKO. And so the whole thing with that was, the other thing was, if Father Time, I haven't caught up with Usyk yet. Right now, looking at him, man, only fucking thing that's going to beat him is Father Time. And you never know what can happen in the fight. But that, my whole thing is, my assessment has nothing to do with who I wanted to win. My assessment was based on the two fighters. So when I say what I'm saying about Jess Willard, Jack Dempsey, or any fighter, I'm speaking truth. I'm speaking like the truth of what I see. I'm not going to tell you what you want me to say or what I think you want me to say. I'm going to tell you what I see. So if somebody felt like, oh, he disrespectful, he not like, I don't have to honor these motherfuckers, and I don't look up to nobody. So I could give a fuck about how somebody feel because I have an opinion. I'm not impressed by these dudes, man. Now, I could sit here and tell you the things that I seen Ray Robinson do. I told you a couple of them before, but I'm not going to talk about Ray Robinson. That's not what this is about. But I'm saying, him included, with all of them, you could look at. It's funny because these historians will try to find fault, try to find flaws, try to find, a tail on every fighter. But when it comes to Ray Robinson, had no weaknesses, and he this, and he was just perfect, right? But he got knocked out before. He had losses, but it came later. I get so sick of hearing that excuse about because it came later. Here's my thing. If you're washed up and past your prime, then retire. If you are using the game for money simply because that's all you know how to do, we know he went into acting and theater and dancing and all that, and that didn't work out for him when he came back. Whose problem is that? Whatever brought you back. Guess what? If you can sit here and say a guy is tainting his legacy by making multi-millions of dollars for doing exhibitions, and this motherfucker damn near 50, then there's no fucking way that you can't say a person that's getting knocked the fuck out, getting outboxed and beaten by journeymen, okay, and up and coming guys who ain't really that good, that they didn't taint their legacy. But he was broke. Okay, that could be it. But he's still tainting his legacy. It's never a double standard. So people were so adamant back then trying to tell us how great the Jess Willards were, and they were surprised that we knew who the fuck they were. Because because we black, y'all don't think we know we know who the fuck they are. So they didn't know we were a boxing family. And I'm sitting here like, man, these dudes, man, and it's a lot of them. When I would watch them, I'm just like, man, is this motherfucker getting punched in the face on purpose? Where's the head movement? Nothing. And I had a problem with trainers for this reason. Like I said in the previous video, I definitely agree with Alicia Baumgartner when she said, old school trainers only know how to train you one way. It's factual, man. They don't like to learn and add anything to what they know. They're just going to show you what they know and have you like fighting like it's 1940 or some shit. Like, bro, no. So they don't understand your physical gifts. So, in other words, let's say, for example, what's the guy named that Mike Tyson's old trainer, right? Remember how he was telling Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis would have knocked him out, and Marciano would have knocked him out. Now, he's saying all of that, Customato, right? I don't believe that shit. We'll never know, but I don't believe that. But here's my thing. A guy like Customato couldn't train a guy like Ali. He couldn't train a guy like Ray Leonard or Michael Nunn. Do you understand? He couldn't train guys like that because his style is that hard-nosed, peekaboo, come in trying. So he doesn't understand. Because in his mind, what he knows beats that style in his mind. So he couldn't train guys like that. Now, just to have a legendary trainer in your corner don't mean the chemistry's right. Example, right? People look at Muhammad Ali and Ray Leonard, so it's like, well, how the fuck was he in Foreman's corner when Foreman came back at some point? Like, yeah. But at the same time, why he was able to work with a guy like Foreman? Because Foreman needed to understand how to stay behind that jab. He needed to understand how to because Foreman was all power, man, and like he was awkward, but he needed somebody that can, the jab is going to be the most important thing because you're going to work off that jab. Stop coming in, because when Foreman throw punches, he pull them motherfuckers back or he push them straight up. And those punches are the ones he try to catch you with and then trap you and back you to them ropes. And, so what Dundee did, his style is different from a Eddie Futch or Archie Moore. You understand what I mean? So the thing is, can you work with this fighter and help him add things, not just be in his corner? But sometimes it's different things that might come out that person's mouth that might keep you in the fight, that keep you going. Everybody don't have the same kind of chemistry. So my thing is, a guy like Graziano, right? A guy like Arturo Gatti, people that they say, oh, they're throwbacks to the right. Whenever you hear the term, they're throwback fighters, it's always the guys that bleed a lot, that get busted up a lot, because that's all they do is just come forward throwing bombs. Guys like that don't impress me. I never liked that style. I'm not scared to take a punch. I'm not scared of punishment. I'm not a runner, but I can move. I can fight back foot. I can fight on the front foot. It doesn't matter. Long range. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, how the fuck do you just stand there and get punched for nothing? And you realize that the skill level, the gaps in skill and height, it's a different mindset. So they will say, oh, those guys are tougher. I don't care what they say. Doesn't make them tougher. They still end up getting knocked the fuck out, and then they throw punches improperly. Like they don't throw them. They throw their punches improperly. In fact, even look at that fight. Do you see them turning their punches over? Do you see them shooting the jabs? No, they're pulling from behind here. They're jumping up in the air. That looks like a glorified street fight. But I'm telling you, I don't know if any of you ever had this experience with people from way back when, but I was a kid. I'm telling you, these people are set in their ways and in their minds, and especially the fact that Marciano retired undefeated. But at the same time, they will tell you nobody, they don't even have to see them fight. Just the fact that their name is Marciano or Graziano, nobody could beat them. Jess Willard. I used to hear about these people, and I'm just looking like, wow, man. Hey, but I just wanted to explain these things, man, because I understand the way people think. I don't care who you like as a fighter, who you don't like. My thing is when you start lying and getting the facts twisted, you don't understand what you're looking at. Like, it's as simple as, when somebody tells you something, and you depend on that person for information, right? Shouldn't you care that what we're telling you is accurate? Because if not, then, you know what I mean? I don't have to give you boxing news. I could just make up some shit and just say something like most of these motherfuckers sound like they do. Real quick. I listened to two people argue. One person was telling the other person a potato was not a vegetable. And the person went, "Oh, it's not? Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not." He said, "Well, what is it? It's food, but it's not a vegetable." And I'm just shaking my head like, wow, I kind of laughed. Wasn't talking to me. Right? So this is what I did. The person that false information was said to, when they were walking by, I go, oh, I love the shirt, this and this and that. Thank you. Oh, blah, 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 whatever. And I said, come here for a minute. I said, hey. I said, you want some friendly advice? Oh, sure. Talk to me. I said, when people tell you something, this is 2025. There's hardly anything you can't get information for. And I turned my phone to her, and it's where it's describing a potato and yam from the same family. They're vegetables. Said, oh my God. But the person that told him it's not vegetables said it with so much conviction. So when I hear these fighters, trainers, whoever, give you false information, and this is why I get receipts, I'm educating people. I'm helping people to understand, because there's things, I got so much shit I'm about to put out between tomorrow and the next day, whatever that. It's educational, and it debunks lies. And you're going to go, damn, I never knew that. Oh shit, I didn't see that before. Yeah. And if people don't tell you, how the fuck would you know? You wouldn't know. And you'd be going around repeating the same false information that people give you. I'll give you a perfect example, then I'm going to close this video. You see the video I did? I don't remember the exact video, but in this video, in the comment section, some people were talking, communicating through text in the comment section. And one person said to the other, in comparing Sugar Ray and Floyd, right? This person was saying they're both great fighters or whatever, but he was leaning towards Ray. And then the person said, you got to keep in mind, Floyd Mayweather had brittle hands. You got to always remember that. And Ray could punch, like said something to that effect. It's in my comment section. Now, let me tell you something. And I can pull up the receipts for that too. I'm going to. Ray Leonard also had brittle hands. And in fact, I remember Ray Leonard telling a story. And I'm pretty sure, look, Ray Leonard said his hands used to hurt him so bad, he used to have to soak them in ice. And he said that his hands, the pain in his hands hurt worse than the punches. And that's why when he came out the Olympics, that's one of the reasons he was going to go to college. He didn't want to box anymore. But they had a situation where he needed money, like right away. He couldn't wait another 2 to 4 years. And so he got in the ring and started making his money. He always had hand problems too. Now, what does that tell you about that person's comment? That person know about that because Floyd Mayweather told us. But that person isn't aware that Ray Leonard also had brittle hands. So how are you going to give a plus to Ray Leonard in that department when he had brittle hands like Floyd? See, this is what I'm saying. People get information, and there's information that they don't have. Y'all should be glad that it's a motherfucker that take the time to explain this shit and then give you receipts so you know I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm giving you facts. Because if you are in this fabricated bullshit mental state that the rest of these people in this world is I don't even care if it's true. As long as it's entertaining. Nah, that's not what ARIES is going to give you. I'm going to give you real shit. You know, and like I said, if y'all want fake fabricated bullshit, then my channel ain't for y'all, man. Let's just be real. Like I said, I make what the fuck I want to make, but what I'm making, this is grown up shit here. I'm not with these lies and this fabricated shit. I got so much shit for y'all. Some of y'all gonna be feeling real stupid, and some of y'all gonna be like, damn, I never knew that shit. Or I forgot about that shit. But it's all good. Anyways, y'all. Like I said, Jess Willard, Jack Dempsey, they did what they did in their time, whatever. I don't owe the motherfuckers nothing. I don't owe nobody shit, but I just didn't feel them. I definitely did not see them the way people was telling me they were. I'm sitting there like, man, you gonna sit here and tell me what my 2 eyes see? That sloppy, no footwork, no head movement, bringing punches from the back, not turning punches over, jumping in there. Man, this is some street fight bullshit. This ain't no real, this is not boxing, man. But when you go from the beginning stages and start to work up to where a sport is much younger at the time, it had to start somewhere. So yeah, that's why I say I'm not here telling nobody, like, I don't have no Mount Rushmore. I don't have no greatest fighters ever. You understand what I'm saying? And I feel like for me, there's no way I could just sit here and say what my top 10 is or how or whatever, because for one, I don't have that. You understand? I don't believe in that shit. There's just fighters I like. There's fighters I like as fighters more than other fighters. Let me say this, for example. If I had to just, all right, who would I pick for a top 10? Okay. Mayweather. Terry Norris. Muhammad Ali. Ray Leonard. Evander Holyfield. I'm not even counting. Marvin Hagler. Michael Nunn. Lennox Lewis, Larry Holmes. I don't even know how many people I just said. Okay, but if I had to pick, now, you know what's going to happen? Then I'm going to go, oh shit, Riddick Bowe too. Damn, I could be a boot. It's so many fighters, man. I don't have no fucking top 10. I think Ali could be any fucking fighter. But at the end of the day, I still don't have a top 10. And I don't tell you that to convince you of that. Now, if you was to ask me why, I could tell you why. But I really don't give a fuck. This shit is about enjoying the fights, enjoying what's happening the best way you can, because this shit is not enjoyable most of the time in this era. And honestly, man, it's like, for example, as soon as Usyk won, I knew what we were going to see. Usyk is the greatest of all time. Usyk is the GOAT. Hey, you know why I don't want to get to those conversations? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm always going to be nothing but honest with you. I don't see Usyk as the very best fighter of all time. I don't. I see several people that I think would have beat Usyk. I don't want to talk about it. Why? Because it's not. I can't dull his shine by what I'm saying, but my opinion is my opinion. I don't give a fuck about that. When Usyk is gone, there'll be somebody else. And you want to know what's going to happen? If boxing is still a thing, just say 2035, 2040. People go like, Usyk, no, this guy, whoever's out, he's better than Usyk. Who gives a fuck, man? If we focus more on enjoying what's going on, everything will be so much better. Which is why I take the time to expose the bullshit. Because if we don't, then you don't realize you're going around spewing out lies. So the person in my comment section that was saying this thing about Floyd having brittle hands, this is my point. They obviously are not aware that Roy Leonard had the same exact situation. I will show you the receipts. No problem. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys now. Talk to me in the comment section, y'all. Never fall in love with lies. Remember the truth brings the other people. I will catch y'all on the next video.